All right, this is our Human Rights Committee June 1st meeting, in keeping with the ongoing emergency order from Governor Charlie Baker to limit gatherings and maximize social distancing, and under legislation passed to address remote board meetings during the emergency declaration. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by our board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will broadcast live and be recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, you can just download onto your computer or device. In this case, while board members will be on video and audio, public participants will join the meeting muted with no video feed. Public lines will be muted throughout the meeting to allow the board to conduct business and eliminate background noise. The chair solicits comments during the public participation section of the meeting, and you can go ahead and ask questions in the chat. You'll just need to make sure that you state your name and your address. Just letting some additional folks into the meeting. Okay, and all votes will be done by roll call. When business is completed, they'll adjourn the meeting. Okay, all right, we have Beth. I see. And we
believe that's Kelly
as well. Okay, awesome. All right, let's do roll and see who we have on the meeting. Feel free to go in alphabetical order if you'd like.
It's challenging. Bornstein, present.
Cantab, present.
Dean, present.
Devonshire, present. Grants, present.
Hay, present.
I think, Kelly, you might be on mute.
Karen, Amy's here. You can move her over.
Oh, all right.
You can hear me now. Are you guys able to hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little muffled, but I can see your lips moving, so I know it's you. Okay.
How about now?
Well.
Julie, present?
Yeah, that's better. It's a little background noise-ish. All right, and Amy, we just did rolls.
Freshman present.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So we have the crew. Craig and Kathy will not be able to join us today. We'll start off by reviewing and approving our minutes. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes that Kelly distributed? She sent those out, I think, on April 13th. Any changes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Is that Michelle?
Thank you. Do we have to go through roll to approve? I think so. Okay, alphabetical order.
Bornstein approved.
Cantab, approved.
Dean, approved.
Devonshire, approved.
Freshman approved.
Hay, approved.
Okay, I think that was
Julie,
Ally
approved.
Thank you.
You guys hear me now?
We can. It's just a little muffled, but it's okay. We'll make do. All right, awesome. Who wants to provide an update on the listening session?
I'm a little unprepared to do it, but I can just say that it went off and it went well. The speakers were really happy. We only got 5 feedback responses to the survey, so I don't have a whole lot to report there. Attendance was pretty low. I think it was like 35 or 40 people, which is kind of a bummer for the amount of effort we put into it. I think the positives are the partnership that we formed with the Commission on Disability, especially Maya, who was a speaker and also a really integral part of helping coordinate everything, and also Independence Associates. So 2 of the speakers were affiliated with that group, and there was another person who worked there named Ryan who helped out a lot with coordination. He was always there, and he was really a great coach to a couple of the speakers. Steph and Irene, what else should we share? I think the attendance was low because we didn't start promoting it until about a week before. It was just a tough one to coordinate and took a lot of time. So, I felt bad for the amount of effort that everyone put into it, but it was positive, and all the speakers were really happy with the outcome.
Well said. I agree with everything.
Same here. Definitely the positive was the relationships. We met some really great allies.
Any feedback from others who attended?
I would just add that it might be low relative to some of our other sessions, but I wouldn't call it objectively low. I still think getting, 30 people on a Zoom call is good participation, especially at this point in all of our Zoom lives.
Thanks, Liz.
All right.
And then I know we had started to talk about one that may be done this summer, but possibly thinking about maybe pushing that back a little bit. Just wanted to know who might be leading that one and who might want to provide an update around maybe some revised timing.
I can speak a little bit into it. I'm not necessarily the one to lead it. I nominate Beth. We kind of, when we were planning a session a couple sessions ago, we kind of like dual looked into speakers and participants. And we do have somebody who's willing to be the professional. She's a local therapist. And I had found 3 people who were willing to be panelists, and we were still kind of looking around, and we hadn't decided on any of that definitely. But then it came up this summer that it was almost June and we hadn't gotten very far with it. And I don't know. It seems like we're doing them so back to back that we might be a little bit burnt out and needed a break maybe till the fall. And maybe our participants, if you're thinking that we had low participation, might need a break as well. Give them kind of the summer to be allowed out of their house to do stuff and maybe pick it up in the fall. But that was just something we were tossing around.
No, I agree. I mean, it's too bad because obviously happy Pride, everybody, but it'd be nice to have it in June, but it's just too much, with the end of school, everything else. I say we regroup, we aim for September, and also try and maybe have a partnership with the schools. Because I know that they've been looking to do more diversity trainings too. So I know that we can't mandate it, but I just think it's a good message.
Yeah, and the feedback on the last session, we were all short on time. I don't know what happened. It was just really time consuming, and I want to make sure that whatever we put out there, we're doing it right. So let's give ourselves the time to do that. I think that's really important, and it is a bummer because I would love to do it in June for Pride Month, but I'd rather have it done right.
I'm happy to host tea dance at 4:00 on a Saturday afternoon by my pool. I'm happy to do that for you folks.
I think also I'm hearing we want to also make sure that we kind of give time for marketing, right? So maybe
Totally.
even just not even the time consuming aspects of planning and kind of coordination of speakers, but then also giving the committee some time to start to spread the word and leverage our allies to help gain some additional exposure for that marketing campaign associated with this as well. So I think, are you guys comfortable with September? Does that seem like that's going to give enough time to kind of figure out who the speakers would be, and then coordination on content and marketing as well?
Yeah, and we might even have a Supreme Court decision this week or next, which will have a pretty big impact on LGBTQ rights, which is kind of somewhat horrifying.
Also, we would want kids to be back in school. So I would think this September is probably the earliest we would want to do it, because now they're in that all their end of the year stuff. So I just have a question. It was myself, Beth, Stephanie was interested. I just wanted to write down the names of who was interested in helping. Amy, were you looking for a break, or were you interested?
I definitely am interested, and I want to help, and I could even start soon. I just needed to catch my breath after the last one. So if we were going to try to pull it off for June, I was hoping someone else would step up and lead it, but September is so much time.
And I think Kathy was interested too, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I think so. I'll write her down. We've recruited her. Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to put down, I think maybe we'll put down for notes September, October timeframe, just in case we end up having to shift that out a little bit. Now just kind of understanding some of the constraints there. And I think it's true, like as we kind of move into the summer months, we'll find ourselves having kind of less opportunity to probably even with meetings and such. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. Rise Up for Humanity update. I think where we left this topic last time around was we talked about the creation of that subcommittee. I'm not sure if the team had any chance to kind of take a look at the sticker distribution at all. Any update there?
No update. I think Kathy was going to try to coordinate something, but we haven't had a chance to.
Okay. And I know that we had talked about at least kind of getting some of the stickers out to the schools. Was that accomplished yet?
No, I only know because the stickers are at my house. So I don't know if we were gonna email specific people or get numbers to distribute.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could try and get some of the stickers to Kristen Shea, and then maybe she could at least kind of get them to the art class and some of her students and some of the folks who participated, and then we can think about kind of more formal kind of school distribution. Actually, I guess school, if we want to try and catch the school this year, we would have to do it within the next kind of 2 weeks or so. But we could at least maybe get some stickers over to Kristen and some folks there.
Erin, were you the one who coordinated with her originally? Could you shoot her an email and just ask how many? I can even drop them off at the school sometime. I'm right nearby. I just don't know how many, and she's at the high school, right? So just go to her attention at the high school.
Yeah, actually, my daughter has her. So you can get them to me, and I can get them to her for sure. And I can send out a note. Maybe Beth, you can help me kind of coordinate with her just in terms of volume. But we can give a bunch to her, and I can also have my other daughter give out a bunch as well. And maybe just at least kind of get them out to the school before the end of the school year for the time being, and then we'll do a larger distribution. Maybe, kind of going into the fall months. That sound good to the team? Awesome. Thank you. Amy, I'll connect with you after the meeting to figure out how to get the stickers from you. I just still find your house. For some reason, I keep like missing that. Okay, the MA Human Rights Coalition. The last conversation was around the housing. I know that they had coordinated speakers. I kind of circulated that to this group to see if there was any interest in participation. Unfortunately, the meeting is on a Friday, or their meetings are on Fridays at 9:45 or around 9 a.m. or so time frame. So that proves to be pretty challenging, I think, for schedules if folks work and stuff. So I did not get to participate in that one, but I will keep the team abreast on the next meeting and the agenda. I'm not sure if they end up kind of taking a little bit of a break during the summer months, but I will keep the group updated on what I hear there. RMK Book Club partnership. We can provide an update on that.
I know there's one upcoming in July, but there hasn't been any meetings yet to start planning any of it yet. But the goal was for a couple Mondays in July, reading why do all the Black kids sit together in the cafeteria. So I think there'll probably be some planning on that soon.
Okay, excellent. And Stephanie, are you working on that with Kathy, or is it you? Anyone else from the?
It's usually,
from the team here?
yeah, it's usually Kathy. I think Irene has done it before too, but I think it's usually myself and Kathy that meets with RMK to start planning it. They just haven't sent anything out yet on it, or we haven't reached out yet, but I'm assuming they will be soon.
Okay, thank you. Allie, I think this is you, mentorship program.
You guys hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah.
All right. So the mentorship program is something I mentioned at the last meeting. And it's just something that I've been thinking about as what we're doing is forming a network, really, right? We're building a network of people in our community, and then trying to educate them and trying to promote the understanding of diversity and the importance of diversity. And when you're building a network, there are usually two ways you do it. You usually do it via groups. So what we've been doing, right? Having events, having Zoom meetings, having trainings in groups. But then you also do it usually at the individual level. And so that's sort of where the idea came up. Like, how can we make sure that connections are also happening on the individual level in our community? Because not everybody, and there are a couple of reasons why you normally would do that. The biggest reason is because not everybody loves going to group events. Not everybody loves to be, on group Zoom. Some people just connect more on an individual one-to-one basis. And so usually what you would do is combine the two. So that was originally kind of how I started thinking about this. But some sort of a mentorship program, and maybe we don't, maybe this is not an answer. Maybe it's not something that we're going to do. But in my mind, it would solve two problems. So the first one, maybe not problems, but it would solve for two of our challenges and sort of things that I think we should be thinking about at this point in the development of the committee. The first one is around being more forward thinking about the committee. So who is going to sit on this committee next, right? Because we're not all going to be here forever. People roll on and roll off. And I see it as part of my duty as a member of this committee to help develop the people who are next going to serve. And so I think some sort of a mentorship program might solve part of that for us. It mean asking our allies, for instance, who's interested in possibly being connected with a human rights mentor. And maybe the mentors are us. Maybe they're not, maybe they're our allies. But having just sort of a one-on-one relationship with somebody to talk about the importance of human rights, to talk about how to get involved and whether it's how to get involved, whether it's with our community as an ally, as a future member, or just sort of generally how to get involved, and idea sharing, and just kind of batting the ball around a little bit. And then the second thing that I think the second sort of challenge I think we should be thinking about that it might solve for is fulfilling that sort of individual one-on-one part of building a network. So it's not just us pushing content down and out to the group, to the community, but it's actually also going to serve to bring ideas back to us, to surface ideas to our committee that maybe the people on this committee are not yet thinking about, or providing different views, more diverse views on how we should be thinking about some of the things that were to my mind. I mean, it could be a heavy lift. It could be a pretty relatively easy lift. It could just be sending an email to our allies and saying, hey, is anybody interested in either being a mentor or being a mentee? We don't even need to call it that. We could just call it some sort of a one-on-one pairing or something like that. And if there's interest, great. We just kind of say, okay, you're with you and you're with you, and we'll send you a reminder every few months to get together or call each other on the phone and talk about stuff. I don't think we need to necessarily plan an agenda for the check-ins, although we could. And arguably, maybe we don't even need to remind them, but it's easy to do. So that's just kind of what I had in my head. And I would love any of your thoughts on that, whether it's something we might want to do, whether we want to park it, whether we want to just toss it in the trash. Any of those are good answers.
Allie, this is Kristen. And I've got an echo, sorry. Are there human rights groups at Stonehill or OA that make kind of a natural, already kind of boxed group where we could reach out and form a partnership or a mentor program? And that to me speaks to youth and ideas, and we don't have to create anything. Possibly they're already a group and we can reach out and partner with them for a mentor program.
I like that idea. I'm assuming they both do. I think OA has something that I've heard of before. Do you guys know?
Stonehill, I mean, they have a whole, no, it needs to be more, but they have an office dedicated towards this. They just hired a new provost who's making equity issues to be more pronounced. So that might be a good opportunity just to reach out to her too. It just came into my alumni magazine this afternoon. So that might be a good partnership.
Yeah, I like that idea. So that we wouldn't have to necessarily start from scratch. We might be able to just sort of partner with them on it.
If you, I'm happy to reach out. I still have a bunch of connections at Stonehill, so I'm happy to reach out to the provost or just folks in general, because I think there's still a group in student affairs, and then there's academic affairs too.
Great. And I can find out about the OA. I feel like I heard maybe there was something along these lines, but I could be confusing.
Yeah, I mean, the OA is doing that ADL training. That group, I think, is still, my daughter's in that group, but she'll be graduating, but I think that is still planned for ongoing effort going forward, right?
Yeah, and I think they staggered it so it can be sustainable as far as who is trained.
But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of concepts, just, overall, I'm so glad that you kind of framed it this way, Allie, because I do love the idea of, kind of thinking through succession planning for us, and kind of starting to identify, committee potential members, right? Especially within our community, people who have interest, want to know more about what we're doing, want to know more about it from a more personal level and that one-on-one connection, as opposed to maybe joining a meeting and looking at it peripherally. So I like that idea a lot. I think that would be very valuable for us, just, kind of ongoing longevity of this committee as well.
Do you think it would be worth testing the idea with our allies, just to test for interest, not necessarily even for people to raise their hand, but just to say, what is your interest level and something like that? How big is our ally list?
I think that makes sense.
Like a survey? Like just distribute a survey?
Over 100. Yeah. Yeah, just a survey, an anonymous survey that, asks some questions around, would you be interested in having a human rights mentor or being a mentee? I mean, we could frame it differently. That sounds pretty official. Or maybe we reach out to Stonehill and OA and see if something exists already before we do that. Maybe we start there.
It just seems to me that students are primed to be looking for mentors, and thinking about what they want to do when they grow up and what their interests are. I just think they're really primed for that kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should start there.
Okay.
Allison, I think that they're bringing that program to the middle school next year too, so you could check with Luke.
Okay. Good to know.
So I love the idea of incorporating and checking in with Stonehill and OA, and I think that would kind of satisfy, maybe, as I heard Allie kind of talk through some of the primary focus areas for this program, one being, maybe this piece, which is around kind of that one-on-one connection, capturing ideas, starting to tap into maybe some additional issues or concerns in our community that we might not be focused on or aware of. And I think that would absolutely help to satisfy that piece of it, also while providing, mentorship to folks interested in that. I don't necessarily know if that would solve or address maybe that other piece of it, which was around maybe planning for committee members. Stonehill students kind of come from all over, right? Students at the high school level may not have interest in kind of committee participation. So maybe we could kind of go at it a couple ways, which is maybe looking at it through the ally list as well as the Stonehill and OA angle also, just to kind of try to get a good assessment of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stonehill folks, I mean, you're right, most of the students don't live in Easton, but they might be allies in other ways as far as just topics and just programming. And then I'm thinking, I mean, there's a ton of people who live in town who work at Stonehill too. And sometimes it's just a little bit harder to tap into that, but they'll have a pretty good idea.
That's a good thought, yeah. Okay. That sounds good. So we'll get the ball rolling and see what the landscape looks like, and then I'll check in the next meeting, give you an update.
Okay, Allie, any kind of next steps that you want some support with from the team?
I don't think so, no. Beth, if you don't mind reaching out to your contact at Stonehill, that would be great. Just find out more, and then I'll find out more about OA in middle school.
Yeah, also a general kind of ask of just future collaborations, mentorship, just even just the ability to sit down and see how we can better partner. Now that they've actually made it a focus, I think it's important for us to try just get connected.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great. And then for the allies piece, I can draft a survey and then I'll just circulate it via email. If you guys have any edits or thoughts, just send them my way.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, we are at other action items on our agenda. Anybody have things they want to bring forward?
I was just thinking, are we at the point where we should start planning more for the fall and the winter? Now that we have a better sense for like what the sort of in-person versus Zoom piece is going to look like. I mean, I know we don't have all of the answers right now, but are we at a point where we should start thinking about at least preliminary planning for some more programming? I'm concerned that people are Zoom fatigued. I don't know how many more Zooms people are going to be able to attend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I think that you know, even as we start to think about maybe what our agenda or our focus for the year used to look like prior to 2020, in the fall, we would plan for NRT. I wonder if that will happen around the October timeframe, but that was something where we had said, you know, it was a really good opportunity for us to kind of go where the foot traffic already was. We usually had some really good participation. Lots of community members would be walking through that, and I think, you know, between the Unity Project and some of the other various, the Faces of Easton, the Envelope Project, I mean, some of our really big, good initiatives happen there. So hoping to kind of keep that on our radar, possibly for the fall, if that event does take place. And in the winter, I know we had planned, we've done some events in the past focused around the Rockery, right, where we would have some participation in the parade and some of the activities happening around the holiday timeframe. I don't know what folks are interested in either one of the two or both, if that's what maybe some of the thoughts you're having around planning, Allie, that you mentioned.
Yeah, so has anybody heard whether the NRT event is going to happen, or is that still up in the air? Because I can reach out and find out if that's helpful. Because I think if that's happening, we should try to do something. Okay, I'll reach out. And then to answer your question around the fall and the winter, I do think that we should plan something. I'm not really sure what the answer is, what it should be, but maybe we plan something that's not Zoom, but that we could pivot pretty quickly if we needed to make it more, or I guess more COVID friendly if we need to, whatever that means.
Yeah, so I mean, on our radar now is this listening session that we're planning for September, October timeframe. So first of all, I think Liz, you did mention that at some point, was it kind of under discussion on whether or not these meetings would be able to be continued via Zoom?
Yeah, so I mean, technically this is part of the emergency order from the governor, which expires in the middle of this month, absent legislation to the contrary. The last I'd heard, the governor was encouraging the legislature to pass legislation to permit remote meetings through the end of 2021, but that's just a heads up that even for our July meeting, we can tentatively set a date, but it's unclear right now whether we will be meeting in person or in Zoom.
We had gotten something at the school committee that it would be extended through at least September 1st. Mm-hmm. I can look that up. Mm-hmm. I think Zoom through the summer is a pretty safe bet.
So maybe as we're starting to plan for the September, October listening session, that might be the potential pivot, is an in-person event versus Zoom. If that works out for our speakers, I'm not sure if that, you know, proves to be probably will be more complicated because we'd have to kind of reserve space and things like that. But that just might be something to kind of consider and put on our radar.
Have to follow the open meeting laws? I don't think so.
Oh, I'm just meaning to just, you know, provide kind of in-person connectivity again. Not that it would have to be. Maybe it would be a preference of the committee. I'm not sure. Or if we think we have better participation from folks via Zoom, then maybe we stick with that format. I guess that's up for this group to decide.
I wonder if we can table that discussion till next month, and make that a topic for our next meeting, whether it's July or August, is just sort of some big picture planning for the rest of the year with also a better sense of what we may or may not know.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. And so maybe kind of along that vein around planning, thoughts, I know we had considered at one point maybe taking a break in the summertime, or at least maybe skipping a July or August meeting. Any input from the committee around not having a July meeting?
I think that's fine. I think people are going on vacation and I think it works.
I agree. I think it's going to be hard to get quorum, honestly, anytime in July.
Anyone opposed to skipping July?
I think if we skip July, we've got to meet in early August, because if we want to do any NRT planning, that happens at the end of September, very beginning of October. So we would need at least a couple meetings in ditto for a listening session in September.
Okay. Do we need to vote?
Let's vote just to get it down.
Okay. This is a vote to skip July meeting and instead meet in early August for our next HRC meeting. We'll go in alphabetical order.
I'll second it.
Bornstein opposed. I always prefer meeting.
Tav approved.
Dean, move.
Devonshire approve.
Durance, yes.
I think it's Hay. Christian?
Oh, I thought it was Gershman. Approve.
Oh, it is.
We just can't hear you, Amy.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gershman approved with the caveat that subcommittees can still at least meet to move the listening session along. Also, we just said that we were going to plan the year, but now we're skipping the meeting. Just throwing that out there. Actually, maybe Gershman opposed. Sorry.
Is that me next? Or Julie, yes.
Okay. Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't hear Kristen's vote.
Hey, approve.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like we won't be having our July meeting, and instead the subcommittee for the listening session, do we need to approve that they can continue? No, actually they can continue to move that forward as they normally do. And we will aim to have a meeting in early August with focus around planning for the rest of the year, emphasis around NRT specifically, and the only other major activity that happens around the August timeframe is the update to the school calendar, the holiday calendar. I know that tends to be an update that we'd like to have and get ready so that we could have in distribution for the new school year. So that would be an effort that we'll want to make sure we circulate again and bring that forward in August as well. Okay. Other action items? Any other topics the team wanted to bring forward?
I just have a small update from Deputy Chief Boone, who could not make the meeting tonight, but was excited to share with the committee that there is a civil rights officer training that he was made aware of that he is doing later this week. So he was appreciative of the opportunity and eager to meet with us finally, and also to share the results of his training.
Okay, excellent. Any other topics today?
Can we talk about transitions?
Sure.
Okay, so the calendar year for HRC closes out on June 30th. And the first order of any meeting of the new year is to elect the officers for the next year. The select board and school committee positions, I believe, are one-year appointments. Craig has confirmed that he is staying on as our select board representative. Michelle, I don't know if there's been any discussion for school committee.
Yep, we already decided you guys get to keep me.
Awesome. And then Steph and Beth and Kristen have terms expiring because we're all on staggered terms. So I will let you kind of go through in that order and just share your plans with the group.
So I don't plan to stay on because I'm going to be doing some other things in town. So just to kind of share with everybody, I'm jumping in more with RMK specifically, and we'll be happy to partner in the future with everybody from here on some projects and events together. So, but I will not be kind of reapplying for the next go around.
I did stay on, so I renewed.
And I also renewed.
All right. So Kristen and Beth, happy to have you. Steph, very sorry to lose you, but really happy to have such a strong ally and such a strong partner that we know we're going to see a lot in the community. So that leaves us with one definite vacancy as of July. So again, this is another thing to think of, to Allison's point of who might we want to have join the committee. A doer who believes in the mission and can also better represent our town in whatever way we feel like we could use more representation on the committee. So encourage anyone you know who may want to join.
We'll miss you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any public participation? No, nobody else is on the call. All right, I feel like this was a good conversation, nice and sweet and short. So we will be planning for an August meeting. We'll get the group back together then. In the meantime, we'll be connecting on some of these action items from today, and I hope everyone has a happy June and July.
Before we go, what are these webinars? Liz, you had forwarded the MA Municipal. Do we just register for them if we're interested? Is this free? What?
I don't know more than what's in the email, but as volunteer board members, we are also often, not always, but often considered municipal employees both for obligations as well as opportunities. So that was why it got forwarded to us for any members to participate in that would like to. I did note in reading more about it that the webinars are recorded. So I think that may help if you are interested but not available necessarily for all three of them. You can still register, count as participating and watching it for that purpose. I would imagine they're free. I can't imagine there would be a cost, but I don't know offhand.
Thanks, Kristen, for bringing that forward. And that reminded me that we do need to adjourn by voting. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Who seconded?
I did.
Okay, thank you, Steph. Sorry, I'm Kelly tonight because Kelly hurt her arm, so I'm frantically trying to take minutes as well as Kelly did. Bornstein, approve.
Cantab, approve again.
Dean, approve.
Devonshire, approve.
Durant's approve.
Gershman, approved.
Hey, approved.
Julie approved.
Okay, our meeting will be adjourned as of 7:17 p.m. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.